At age 76, the gay Raymond Burr revealed the shocking truth about his Hollywood love life, and it wasn't a good one. Raymond Burr, the star of the series Perry Mason and Ironside, who brought us hours of suspense and tension on the small screen in the 1950s and 1960s. But behind the image of the brilliant lawyer, always relentlessly seeking justice, or the resilient detective in a wheelchair solving cases, was a man who had to live in secrecy, lies, and silent pain throughout his life. Raymond Burr's story is not just about brilliant success, about prestigious awards, but also about personal sacrifices, layers of lies to protect himself in a Hollywood full of harsh prejudices against gay people. It will surprise you, move you, and perhaps make you a little angry at the injustice of society back then. First, let's go back in time to Raymond Burr's early years, a part of his life that he often created to make it sound more appealing, as many biographies have revealed. Raymond William Stacy Burr was born on May 21, 1917, in New Westminster, British Columbia, Canada. His father, William Johnston Burr, was a hardware salesman, a stable but not glamorous job, while his mother, Minerva Annette Smith, was a piano and singing teacher, bringing a touch of refined artistic atmosphere to the family. But that peaceful life didn't last long. When Raymond was only 6 years old, his parents divorced, an event that probably left a deep wound in the boy's heart, making him later always crave to build an ideal family image, even if it was just an illusion. His mother took the 3 siblings, Raymond, his sister Geraldine, and his brother James, to Vallejo, California, USA, to start a new life. His father stayed in Canada, and according to some sources, he once took the family to China for 5 years because of work, but this is still debated. That childhood was like the foundation for the lies later on, a way to compensate for the lack of family affection, to create a more dramatic life story than reality. Burr once said that he was a big boy, weighing 12 pounds at birth, and always self-conscious about his appearance. He said, "When you're a fat kid in public school, you'll be bullied terribly." These words touch me deeply because they show a sensitive boy trying to find his place in a harsh world, where appearance could determine fate. The Great Depression of 1929 made life even harder, with widespread unemployment and the family struggling to survive. Raymond dropped out of school at 12 to find work, even going to New Mexico to work on a ranch, where people mistook him for an adult because of his huge build. But is all of that true? Later, many sources revealed that Raymond often created about his childhood, like serving in the U.S. Navy during World War II and being wounded in Okinawa, a completely fabricated story to build a heroic masculine image. He also talked about joining the Civilian Conservation Corps, working in national forests, but there's no evidence to confirm it. These details add mystery to his story, making us wonder, why would a successful man need to fabricate his past? Perhaps it was a way for him to hide his inner insecurities, or simply to make his life sound more appealing to the public, especially when he entered the Hollywood world, where image is everything. Burr once attended San Rafael Military Academy and graduated from Berkeley High School, but he didn't pursue college and chose the path of acting instead. In 1934, he joined a touring theater troupe in Toronto, then India, Australia, and England. He talked about those trips with pride, but some details conflicted, like studying at Long Beach Junior College and teaching at San Jose Junior College while doing radio work at night. All of this paints a picture of an ambitious young man, ready to face difficulties to pursue his Hollywood dream, but also starting to learn how to bend the truth to fit the image society expected. After years of wandering, Raymond joined the Pasadena Playhouse in 1937, where he began his professional acting journey. This was an important milestone because the Pasadena Playhouse at that time was a famous actor training ground, where many future stars like Tyrone Power or Gene Hackman honed their skills. Burr appeared on Broadway with the play Crazy with the Heat in 1941, a musical revue that only lasted 3 months but gave him valuable stage experience. He replaced the lead actor in Quiet Wedding in 1942 and even taught acting at the Playhouse for 18 months, participating in about 30 diverse plays, from classical to modern. His deep voice was perfect for radio, where he could play romantic roles without worrying about his large appearance. He participated in programs like Pat Novak for Hire in 1949, Fort Laramie in 1956, The Whistler, Dragnet, Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar, Suspense, and many others, receiving thousands of fan letters. The Globe and Mail once praised he played romantic and villainous roles with equal authority, but Hollywood was where he truly shone, and also where he began to hide himself carefully. In the mid-1940s, the film noir era exploded with black and white films full of shadows and ambiguous morals. Raymond, with his burly build, became the perfect choice for villain roles. He appeared in over 60 films from 1946 to 1957, often as scary thugs or cold-blooded killers. Some notable roles include San Quentin in 1946, Desperate in 1947, where he played gangster Walt Reddock, hunting a witness, Raw Deal in 1948 with the brutal Rick Coyle, Pitfall in 1948 as the greedy private detective MacDonald, and especially Rear Window in 1954 by Alfred Hitchcock, where he played Lars Thorwald, the killer spied on through binoculars by James Stewart. Film historian Alain Silver commented, "He tried to make you see the madness beneath the surface, even if the role wasn't big." James Orsini called his role in Pitfall both reprehensible and pitiable, a classic film noir archetype. But Raymond bitterly called himself the fat villain of film noir. He was in his 20s but played older roles, even as fathers to actors younger than him, all because of his weight. He thought he'd forever be the bad guy, never getting the beautiful girl. This was the tragedy of Hollywood at that time, where appearance prejudices pushed talent into the shadows, forcing them to struggle internally to affirm their value. Burr once shared in a rare interview, "I was the heavyweight fat guy of film noir," and that reflected his silent pain, the pain he hid with increasingly complex lies. An interesting and different role was in Gorilla at Large in 1954, starring alongside Anne Bancroft, a 3D film that TV Guide called unintentionally hilarious, with a plot about a killer in a gorilla costume at a zoo. He didn't get the girl, but got the gorilla. This was a big change, allowing him to taste being a lead actor, even if the film wasn't a masterpiece but just a low-budget B-grade movie. Then came Godzilla, King of the Monsters, in 1956, the Americanized version of the original 1954 Japanese film, directed by Ishiro Honda. Raymond played Steve Martin, a reporter inserted into the finished film to make it more appealing to American audiences, avoiding subtitles and making the story more accessible. He said the contract was for 1 day of shooting, but he had to work 24 hours straight, another typical exaggeration from Burr. In reality, he shot for a few days under the direction of Terry O. Morse, and he loved the film, seeing it as an anti-nuclear war symbol, reflecting the horror after the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The film was a huge success, earning over $2 million in the U.S., and Burr was proud of the role, even though many thought he did it for the money. I bet many older audiences like you still remember those classic monster movies, right? The images of Godzilla destroying Tokyo, with Burr as a witness, have become pop culture icons, influencing a series of later films like King Kong vs. Godzilla or modern versions. Later, in 1985, he returned with Godzilla 1985, or The Return of Godzilla in Japan, reprising Steve Martin, refusing to add humor to keep the serious message about the environment and war. This role showed that Burr was not just an actor, but also a person with deep social consciousness, even though he had to hide his personal self. Raymond's life changed forever when he played a supporting role as the prosecutor in A Place in the Sun in 1951, alongside Montgomery Clift and Elizabeth Taylor, based on Theodore Dreiser's novel An American Tragedy. That impressive courtroom performance caught the attention of producer Gail Patrick Jackson, leading to the role of Perry Mason in 1957. She initially thought he was suitable for the prosecutor Hamilton Berger, but after seeing him act, she realized he was the ideal Perry Mason with his authoritative voice and impressive appearance. However, she required him to lose weight from over 300 pounds to 210 pounds to fit the star image. Raymond embarked on a harsh diet, using dangerous weight loss pills and intense exercise, returning slimmer for the final screen test. When author Earl Stanley Gardner watched the audition clip, he stood up and declared, "That's Perry Mason." The series ran from 1957 to 1966, with 271 episodes, attracting 30 million viewers every Saturday night on CBS. Raymond won 2 Emmys in 1959 and 1961 and received 3,000 fan letters a week. He was paid highly, up to $1 million a year in the later years, a huge amount at the time. The supporting cast was excellent, including Barbara Hale as Della Street, the loyal secretary, William Talman as Hamilton Berger, the opposing prosecutor, William Hopper as Paul Drake, the private detective, and Ray Collins as Lieutenant Arthur Tragg, the police officer. The show's formula was always Perry winning the case by exposing the real culprit in court, often through a sudden confession, creating unforgettable climactic moments. From my personal perspective, the appeal of the series lay in Mason's intelligence, the chemistry among the cast, and how it reflected American society in the 1950s-60s, with themes of justice, ethics, and the fight against injustice, in the context of the Cold War and the rising civil rights movement. But that success came with great pressure. He had to hide his private life to maintain the heterosexual star image, because Hollywood at that time viewed homosexuality as a sin that could destroy a career instantly. Now, we come to the most secret part, the part that makes Raymond Burr's story so dramatic and moving: his love life. He said that about 10 years before Perry Mason, he married Isabella Ward in 1948. They met at the Pasadena Playhouse, lived briefly in the basement of his grandparents' house in Hollywood, then suddenly divorced after a few months in 1952. Ward went to Delaware and remarried someone else. This seems true, with divorce papers confirming it, but Raymond didn't stop there. To hide his sexual orientation, he fabricated a second wife, Annette Sutherland, a Scottish actress whom he claimed to have married in 1943 and who died in a plane crash with Leslie Howard in 1943. But a big mistake. Aviation records show no Annette on that flight, and the story was easily debunked by curious reporters. Then he added that Sutherland gave birth to a son, Michael Evan Burr, in 1943 before dying. The son, according to Burr, died of leukemia in 1953 at age 10. He talked about taking his son on a tour of America before he passed, buying souvenirs and creating memories. But it was all lies. No records of Michael Evan, no hospital, no death certificate. And it didn't stop there. Burr fabricated a third wife, Laura Andrina Morgan, married in 1953 and died of cancer in 1955, even before their honeymoon, leaving him widowed again, according to the book Hiding in Plain Sight by Michael Seth Starr. These stories were clever smokescreens to hide that Raymond was gay. Hollywood back then, coming out as gay was career suicide, similar to Rock Hudson, who hid until his death from AIDS in 1985, or Tab Hunter, who was forced into fake marriages. Burr had to live in constant fear. And that touches me deeply because it reflects the tragedy of so many in the entertainment industry, where fame comes with isolation. He also fabricated serving in the military, being wounded in Okinawa with a scar on his stomach, to enhance his masculine image. But in reality, he never enlisted, only doing civilian work during the war. These layers of lies were not just to protect his career, but also to satisfy the public's curiosity, who always wanted to know about stars' love lives. and Burr cleverly created a fake family tragedy to deflect attention. In 1960, on the Perry Mason set, Raymond met Robert Benevides, a young 27-year-old actor born on February 9, 1930, in Visalia, California. A Korean War veteran, struggling with his career and submitting additional scripts. Raymond, then 43, noticed the burly young man and hired him as a personal assistant. Not long after, they became closer than ordinary friends. They were together for 33 years, until Raymond's death in 1993. Benevides said in an interview, "I was an actor, but decided to stop because it was too hard." Raymond said, "You don't need to do that anymore." They lived at the Fiji Isle Ranch in Sonoma County, California, growing orchids with over 1,500 varieties and grapes, a hideaway from Hollywood's lights. Publicly, Benevides was a business partner and friend, together opening the Burr Benevides Vineyard in 1980, producing wine from Sea God Nurseries, famous for its Cabernet Sauvignon variety. But in reality, they were a gay couple, hiding their love because of societal prejudices. According to the book Hiding in Plain Sight, they met through Scotty Bowers, a famous Hollywood procurer, and the relationship lasted thanks to discretion. Benevides managed Burr's life, from schedules to finances, and they participated in charity together, like visiting U.S. troops in Vietnam over 10 times, building orphanages in Korea and Vietnam, and supporting organizations like the United Service Organizations, USO, and Easter SEALs. From my perspective, this is a beautiful but tragic love story, where love had to hide behind a veil of lies, reflecting the injustice of an era when homosexuality was taboo, and many stars like Burr had to live double lives. Raymond Burr passed away on September 12, 1993, from kidney cancer that metastasized to the liver at age 76 at the Sonoma Ranch. Before dying, he held a few farewell parties with friends, enjoying his last days with Benevides. His will left his entire estate of over 32 million USD to Benevides, excluding his blood family, proof of a committed love over 33 years. Some family members tried to overturn the will but failed in court. After his death, People magazine revealed he was gay, and books like Hiding in Plain Sight delved deeper into his life, based on interviews with Benevides and colleagues. Raymond Burr's legacy is enormous. 2 Emmys for Perry Mason, 6 nominations for Ironside, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 1960, Canada's Walk of Fame in 2009, a Canadian stamp in 2008. TV Guide called him the favorite male actor in 1960, and in 1996 included him in the list of 50 greatest TV stars. He was also inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame in 1992. Beyond acting, Burr was active in charity, a member of the United Service Organizations, USO, visiting U.S. troops in Vietnam over 10 times from 1965 to 1973, bringing gifts and performing to boost morale, building orphanages in Korea and Vietnam named Raymond Burr Orphanage, and supporting organizations like Easter SEALs for the disabled, American Cancer Society, and Peace Corps. He was also an environmental protector, growing a vast orchid garden with over 1,500 varieties. And after his death, Benevides continued managing the vineyard, turning it into a tourist spot in memory of Burr. These activities show that Burr was not just an actor, but also a compassionate person, even though he had to hide his personal self to avoid scandal. Raymond Burr's story makes me reflect deeply. He was a symbol of resilience, overcoming prejudices to succeed, but had to live in lies because society wasn't ready to accept gay people. Today, the LGBTQ+ community has progressed more, with many stars coming out like Neil Patrick Harris or Ellen DeGeneres. But the lesson from Burr remains valuable. Live true to yourself, even if the price is high. Compared to Rock Hudson, who died of AIDS in 1985 without coming out, or Cary Grant with lifelong gay rumors, Burr represents a generation that had to sacrifice personal happiness for fame. If he lived today, perhaps his life would be different, freer, without the need for lies about wives and children. Thank you for listening to this long story, with all the details from childhood to legacy. If you like it, please like and subscribe to the channel for more audio blogs about Hollywood icons. See you in the next episode.